Double kill.
Hello everyone, this is Hakaym and welcome back to another episode of Funday Sunday, and today we are in Her Majesty the Queen's Warspite. And actually I don't know if I've ever really shown off, a replay with her. She's definitely not a ship I play all too often. She was, back in the day, very well known for her secondaries and her very accurate guns, which, I mean, they still are. They're still fantastic. I am joined with a good clanmate of mine, a good friend of mine, Murakamo. He is in the grass, and as you can see, it's, well, a fairly heavy, as far as cruisers are concerned, tier 7, while the battleships there's only one tier 7. So yes, now this battle is, for all intents and purposes, a really good game. I should hope so, because I generally try to have a really good game for you guys. But there's also kind of something else that someone pointed out to me, as far as like the expectations of what the British battleships were supposed to be like, or at least what he thought would possibly mean, especially since Warspite has been out for some time prior to the release of the British battleship. And I kind of like his idea. I wish, Wargaming would have done that. So the Warspite, as many as people are well known, has very accurate guns, and but the turrets used to be incredibly slow. They used to be horrifically slow. And his idea was the fact that, the guns would have been extremely accurate, they would have been very, very slow, and instead we got, the Conqueror that just slings HE, which I'm still not a big fan of. I think it's still not the greatest design choice, but Wargaming has their reasons as to give every ship a specific, feature, a specific gimmick. So starting off, I'm actually pushing over towards A, because, well, we did have our tier 7 over there. Actually, our tier 7's behind us, but as you can see, we are currently being spotted, and there is obviously a enemy DD in the middle of B, and he's being well, he's harassing us, to say the very least. Now, the KGV is a tier 7 British battleship, and I mean, I didn't mind the KGV when I had her. I didn't think she was that bad, but she did rely heavily on her HE. Her AP had issues actually penetrating into the armor of enemy battleships, so HE was generally the route you always wanted to go. Now, at the moment, our team has officially captured the A cap, and the enemy team has captured B, and I'm starting to push in. Now, once again, the Warspite, it's kind of the Dreadnought era. It's very tanky, it's slow, its guns are incredibly accurate, as you will see multiple times. They're very accurate for, her tier, and it can be quite devastating against any ships that show you a lot of broadside. That KGV did experience almost 10,000 points of damage there. Now, another aspect of the Warspite is that she actually has really decent range secondaries. My British captain, I think, on this Warspite is only a 10-point captain, so I don't have like AFT, nor have I think really put anything into as far as increasing the secondary range, because honestly I think her guns are really where where you're going to be relying on the damage. So having additional range on your secondaries is not overly beneficial. So that is something to keep in mind. And also, the Warspite I don't play all too often. It's definitely a ship that struggles, especially when it is tiered up with tier 8 battleships. She definitely does struggle, but she does have very large caliber guns, which does a very easy job penetrating and overmatching bow armor on enemy tier 6 battleships. So that's definitely one thing going for her. But once again, her guns turn incredibly slow. Now they have been buffed since obviously it was first released. So, I mean, it is at least fortunate enough to be able to at least get its guns kind of turned around. Now, unfortunately, I've kind of come into a somewhat of a hornet's nest. Currently facing off against 3 ships. I believe the Furataka is currently kind of in the background. And not exactly the place I wanted it to be. Now, the Indianapolis is a good, you know, tier 7 ship. It has good guns, big 203 guns. But this New Mexico gets a Citadel, which is always very nice to see. New Mexico is kind of the tankier version of the tier 6. Obviously not as much as Bayern, but still very tanky nonetheless. But have at least forced him to pull back. Now at the moment our team's not doing so hot. We've already lost almost all of our destroyers and a cruiser, while the enemy team have only lost a destroyer and a cruiser. So things definitely could have gone a little bit better. They've also captured sea. So starting off, things are somewhat on a rocky state. But fortunately, once again, the Warspite is fairly accurate. The range is it's kind of middle of the road. It's not the longest range, but it's not the shortest, which is, I mean, the good thing about her. Now, pushing in, we do actually have the support of the Colorado, which is extremely beneficial. However, the enemy team have just taken out the Koenig that was pushing in towards C. And the enemy team still has 3 destroyers left, and we know that there was the Haida over at B. And more than likely, that destroyer is probably going to be pushing towards A, because the majority of our forces are in fact over at A, which could quite easily mean that, well, there might be some torpedoes incoming. Now, Furataka, oh, why would you show this much broadside? He is running the Sea Hull upgrade, running the 2 turrets, the Alba turrets, which I'm honestly not a big fan of, but hey, he showed me a lot of broadside. We do get a Citadel, and that is kill number 1. Now, I have slowed up because I didn't really want to constantly be pushing, because, well, I have a hunch that there might be a destroyer around us, and at the moment there's not much in the way of well, anyone able to detect a enemy destroyer, and lo and behold, there is a Haida, and it's probably a good reason to actually start turning. Now, the Colorado, I think, waited too long. Like, he doesn't look like he's actually taking the steps to avoid any possible torpedoes incoming. And, well, can you guess what's about to happen to this Colorado? He is going to eat 1 torpedo. Does cause a flooding, and it does look like he is unfortunately not gonna be able to repair that flooding. Now, in all that time, our friend, who is in fact in the De Grasse, has been constantly harassing on the very southern side, because the KGV and the Dallas are both over there, and he's just trying to get those fires like a good French cruiser does. Took a blind shot into the smoke because did see at least the Haida was at least there. The Haida actually in fact does eat a torpedo, which is actually rather amusing, because the Haida does have hydro, but more than likely it's quite possible that it was in fact down. Now, I'm actually going to start pushing in towards B, and this is what you generally want to be doing. You don't want to be just sitting camping over at A. You need to take action. We need to take action, because the enemy team is 300 points ahead of us at this time, and also would be extremely beneficial to at least alleviate some of the fire that is currently being shot at by this enemy Dallas towards our friendly in the grass. So gonna try to help out. Would like to take out this Dallas. Dallas is the USN light cruiser, very reminiscent of the Cleveland in a lot of ways. And fortunately, I think we're actually gonna be able to get around this corner. I am gonna try to hold my shots until we get around this corner. maybe we should be able to take out this Stylist. This Stylist is actually fairly low on health. Shots away, and wow, that dispersion separates, but right there is the Citadel we were hoping for. Unfortunately, we don't have another turret available to actually shoot at this Nicholas. But that is kill number 2. Nicholas is going to go ahead and smoke up and just be a kind of semi-pester. Right there, I was actually told by my teammate that he's incredibly low on health, only 3,000 points of health. But obviously I have attracted the attention of the enemy team, trying to blind shot into that smoke. If we can at least maybe get that Nicholas dead, that's one less thing I have to worry about. But fortunately he is a Nicholas and doesn't have that long range torpedoes that higher USN destroyers do have, so we should be fine as long as we don't really stray too close to that smoke screen. But unfortunately for us, the KGV is coming around the corner and is in fact getting pretty good shots at us. Boys is the new USN premium cruiser with a heal. However, even with that heal, doesn't mean that we can't get a Citadel at all. There we go. One dead Boise, and we earn Confederate, so that is kill number 3. Once again, trying to see if there's opportunities we can get rid of cruisers. I'm low in health. The KGV is obviously a main threat, but if we can help our team at least take out some potential threats, such as this Indianapolis, that would be fantastic. Now you might be wondering why I'm doing this. Well, if we can get rid of that low health cruiser, he'd be obviously less able to do any major damage towards us. Now, my attention is going to be, in fact, focusing on this KGV, who is very close to us. Now, keep in mind, our back turrets are slowly rotating around to get turned. And, well, just keep that in mind. Now, also keep in mind there's also a Nicholas behind us. Shots off on the KGV. Gonna get my turrets back around, and any moment should show up the Nicholas. There he is. Turrets coming around. Nicholas is just sitting still, not even moving. We have just lost our Omaha. Somehow we were able to bring this back, and there we go. Kraken unleashed for myself, taking out the enemy Nicholas with those back turrets. Now all that's left on the enemy team is the KGV and the Texas. And any moment now we should actually kind of bring this back. Now keep in mind the enemy team actually has 2 caps, and this KGV can't really afford to even try to ram me. Well, then again, he can't really outturn me either. So instead I'm gonna just allow him to pass and bring my back turrets to bear, and there we go, kill number 6. And that is going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you saw, hit the like and subscribe button. You guys have a great and fantastic day. Zai Jen.